What's going on, everybody? It is your host, Dr. Goon. Welcome to Goon Nation. If you haven't joined already, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Let's get it to 300 plus likes to continue the support of the coverage of Blood Hunt. Now, fun fact, a writer I've had on this channel several times in interviews, Josh, he is actually writing in the Blood Hunt event. So I was like, fuck it. This is a massive arc in Marvel right now with plenty of crossovers. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. And the way I'm going to structure this series is essentially whenever I feel like the video should stop, aka in my mind, when I'm reading the comic, I'm like, okay, this is a good stopping point. I'm going to make an episode, okay? And we're going to do that following the series through July. We're going to be covering it in real time. I'm super excited. Of course, we're catching up on it now. They dropped a bunch in this month. So let's lock in for this. I'm super excited to cover Blood Hunt. This first episode is fucking crazy. Shout out to Goon Nation. Check out my Discord. Follow me on Twitter. I just made a Twitter for my YouTube channel, so definitely go check that out. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. So we see in the beginning of Blood Hunt X-Men, right, which is where this saga begins. By the way, I'll be making a playlist for you to follow Blood Hunt in its entirety in chronological order. But we see Spider-Man brawling with Dr. Dark. And Dr. Dark is someone who uses power from the Darkforce. And Spider-Man's talking his usual Spidey shit. He's like, yo, is it the Darkforce? Get roasted. Like, I'm big Spidey. Whatever. Spider-Man sucks, but some of y'all like him. Hit the like button if you're a Spider-Man fan. Prove the fan base is still alive and well. But we see during this fight that Dr. Dark suddenly starts getting folded by his own power. It turns into this, like, tornado, essentially, of Darkforce energy. And Spider-Man's like, oh, look, another unproblematic win for myself, which was kind of good. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of had a bar there. But Dr. Dark gets folded by himself for no apparent reason. This is when the story pans over to Reed Richards out with Sue Storm, and they've located several dimensional breaches. They state that this multiple openings or dimensional breaches is in fact the Dark Force dimension. Okay, this is a dimension we will continue to discuss throughout this episode, so make sure to pay attention if you're unfamiliar with that. But Reed sees this as big of a threat, or as typical of a threat, as something like the negative zone collapsing in. The point being, it's a dimension completely outside of their typical reality. So it's a big deal this is happening. This is when we pan over to Daredevil, who has one of those, of course you don't, you're blind moments. And by the way, there's a lot of that where, like, he is fucking blind. My boy GB gathered them in the Daredevil server. If you guys want to see a video on comic books just hilariously using Daredevil being blind, whether on accident or on purpose, I'll make that video. It's funny as shit. But Daredevil says he can't see what's going on, which is like, no shit, you're fucking blind. But whatever, big if true. But he does say he like, and by the way, the art on this panel was crazy, but like it's actually no joke, it's top tier. We see Daredevil's like, I can feel the world getting colder, darker, and I can hear my people screaming. And we see Daredevil has dropped down and is getting active. All right, like he's fucking swinging on what appears to be vampires that are swarming the streets. And he says, I hear their screams, and the worst part is I can't save them all. And like, jokes aside, like, whatever you think about the likes of Daredevil, he's a badass, all right? Like, he definitely is. And he was cooking here. So we go from Daredevil being a Chad against a literal army of vampires and pan over to the daughter of Blade, right? And she's in the trenches too. Brielle is swinging on vampires. She's actually doing quite well, taking them out, and she's talking about how she's really able to cook here because of how her dad raised her. Her dad obviously being Blade. The training the wisdom she got has turned her into an elite vampire killer. However, she notes that it is not a typical vampire invasion. And that's when we see, to her shock, a character shows up to help her against these vampires. As the character's like, yeah, this for sure isn't a normal invasion. In fact, the world's ending, and I think only really me and you can stop it. And we see Dracula emerge. Now, tell me, am I tripping balls, or does Dracula kind of look like Noel? I kind of felt like he did. Let me know what you think. But regardless, he's shown up, and apparently this invasion has nothing to do with the likes of Dracula, which is interesting because obviously it's vampire related, but the king of vampires is not doing anything involved with the invasion, so it's rather interesting. Now we're gonna pan over to the second issue in this Blood Hunt saga, and that is Vengeance of the Moon Knight, issue 5. Now we see in this current setting, Moon Knight is gone, at least the one we typically associate with the brand, being Mark Spector and his many personalities. He's out of the picture, he's gone. Now, currently, Moon Knight is being portrayed by someone else, a character named Shroud, who he used to beef with, that also has like the Darkforce access that we've been showing early on in this run. So if you haven't figured it out by now, even if you're not as familiar with the current landscape in Marvel, the Darkforce is a big factor in this run. Now, Hunter's Moon and Tigra, the homies of Moon Knight, right? They pull up on fake Moon Knight. They're like, look, Mark was our guy. He was family. They're out here pretending to beat him, right? Shit's getting wicked. There's just false claiming, blatantly being involved. So they naturally pull up and they're like, dude, you got to stop pretending you're Moon Knight. You're hurting the brand. We find out through Eightball, who, by the way, them bringing back Eightball to be relevant, godly. I personally love the character of Eightball. I think he's hilarious. And the fact that he's back on like a redemption arc is godly. He's talking about who Shroud is. If you guys aren't as familiar, Shroud's basically a fake kingpin from LA. Okay, clearly doesn't move like Big Fisk, but is kind of a wannabe. And Eightball talks about the tragedy of losing Mark's Moon Knight. He's like, dude, he might have hunted me and beat my ass, but that was the big dog. Everybody respected Moon Knight. Moon Knight had the biggest reputation among villains, except for Punisher. Punisher was the only one they saw as like, all right, he's the most problematic hero because he'll just shoot your ass. But Moon Knight was just as crazy. So everyone, whether they admitted it or not, massive respect for the likes of Moon Knight. That is when we see during this fight between Hunter's Moon, Tigra, and Shroud's Moon Knight, Shroud kind of loses it. He's like, look, I'm not taking this Moon Knight death easy. This shit's fucked up. And he was like, you know, I'm crazy, but Mark was crazy too. And genuinely deep down, I feel like I lost someone that was basically the only person that understood who I am. And he just starts exploding. Energy going everywhere. So they're like, yo, what the hell is going on? And this is, again, when we get back to Eightball, he's literally saying what I just told you. Like, dude, no one fucked with Moon Knight. Like, matter of fact, I'm about to go on my hero's journey because he was crazy. Even though he was crazy, even though the block might burn down because Moon Knight is involved, he was one of the realest to ever lace him up. Everyone respected him, second to maybe Punisher. He was the GOAT. And everybody, regardless of what side of the fence you're on, had some sense of respect for how Moon Knight got down. That's when we see it pan back over to the battle with Shroud's Moon Knight, right? He basically says, look, I took up the mantle because at the end of the day, yes, I've done some bad shit. Yes, I'm not the best person ever. But who really is? Even Mark was kind of fucked up. I want to get my shot at redemption like Mark had via Moon Knight. He got a chance to show he could be a hero no matter how damaged goods he was. And I want to be the same way. That is when we see during this confrontation, Shroud realizes he's tripping balls. Like, he shouldn't be doing all this. He's the definition of doing too much. They finally talk him down. They're like, Shroud, come down here. Chill out a little bit. Like, let's talk about this. You're absolutely going ape shit. He calms down, hugs them, talks about it. He's like, man, I miss him just like you guys did. I know that might seem crazy to everyone, but that's really what it is. That's when we see Shroud's body start going crazy. A Darkforce tornado seems to be happening over him as he has completely lost control of the dark energy he typically can control. And he screams for both Hunter's Moon and Tigra to get the hell out. Like, run. This shit is going down. I don't know what's happening. That's when we see 8-Ball realizing some shit is going down. Is like, dude, every once in a while, a man is blessed with a chance at redemption. It's time to redeem myself. Fuck it, I'm 8-Ball. Pulls up, and you see the outstretched claws of vampires. He doesn't care. He said, you don't always get to call your shot, but I do. 8-Ball, corner pocket. And he runs down on the vampires to end the issue. Random hype moment from 8-Ball? Absolutely. Are we here for it all? Absolutely. We're going to then get into the third issue of this run, which is Blood Hunt issue 1. By the way, this opening panel I'm about to show you, one of my favorite drawn panels. It just looks badass. We see the sun is apparently reaching its death as we're getting one of those Jonathan Hickman. It reminds me of when Jonathan Hickman had the countdowns to the incursions. That's what it's like here. It almost seems like an homage to that. The narrator says all the work the heroes have done. They're kind of looking up at this sun death, watching in horror as everything they amounted to really doesn't matter at this point. You're like, damn, there's a good chance. Hey, I know we get big events every once in a while in comic books, but there's a real chance someone's getting the block's getting shot up on this one. I actually had questions about this. Yes, this is a canon event. We see why everybody's been tripping balls that was using the Darkforce energy. All of the Darkforce users that are on Earth are literally being turned into living gateways for the Darkforce dimension. That's insane. Imagine you're running around, you're shooting people with blasts and shit, you're talking shit, maybe you go rob a bank or two with your boys, who knows? But then you suddenly turn into a portal. You're just someone's portal now. I don't know what you guys think. I think that's kind of fucked up. That's when Iron Man, who's looking at all this, is like, yo, Scarlet Witch, can you just magic the shit out of our problem? Like, we're not trying to deal with this. And Scarlet, this is actually an important statement to tell you how dangerous this shit is. Scarlet Witch goes, it would be easier for me to just walk up to Galactus and put him in a headlock. Just beat the shit out of him. Now, granted, does Galactus job every Tuesday? Might happen, but Galactus is still one of the big dogs. And she's saying, like, no, this is impossible. That's like Galactus tier of tomfoolery, and I'd have to be casually doing that. And Iron Man was getting mad because he's like, yo, I just wanted to see if we had the option of magic because I don't want to get my ass beat by whatever's popping up, but you don't have to be a bitch about it. It looks like the sun's dying. That's when we get the key players to start out this Blood Hunt story. There's a bunch of tie-ins, but they're really starting to get into it now. Smash the like button if you have not already. Do we see the key players so far? Scarlet Witch, Thor, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Vision, Black Panther. Hunter's Moon and Tigra in their own little section, and then Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Clea, Blade, and Doctor Doom. And I want to do something fun. Get in the comment section down below and let me know, out of all these characters they just showed as the key players, who is your favorite to see in this major story arc? Which one are you looking forward to seeing the most? And for those that say Hunter's Moon or Tigra, I want you to go fuck yourself for being a liar. But anyways, we get back to the event, right? Vampires are cooking across the world. Like I told you, there was different Darkforce portals popping up everywhere, wherever the Darkforce users happen to be. So these locations are at random, but ultimately it is across Earth. Cities are falling. The shit is getting wicked. Vampires are running loose. Of course, however, one country's got this shit on lock. The GOAT. You should be liking the video just for this. The GOAT, Dr. Doom, pulls up as he's like, yo, I get it. Maybe they think they're tougher in numbers. Maybe they're confident because they ran up on the rest of the world. Well, why the hell do these vampires think they can pull up to Latveria? Let the people know I saved them. Let the people know I cooked. Let them know Big Doom was in his bag. Preserved Latveria. Dude, Dr. Doom is hilarious. Literally, just instantly we see he had nullified any threat to Latveria and was like, yeah, tell the people to show me love. Tell them to throw the flowers right now. I'm the man. This is when we see in another amazingly drawn panel, we switch over to Brooklyn. Miles Morales is in the trenches. He's stabbing the shit out of a Jedi. He's like, oh, God. Did I say Jedi? My fault. Been arguing about Star Wars shit all day. He's stabbing the hell out of this vampire, right? He's like, oh, man, we're fighting vampires. Like, let me act like Blade. Like, what the hell would Blade do in this moment? And that's when we see Blade actually shows up. And this is something interesting that I literally just noticed as I'm recording. And hopefully I remember to bring it up at the end. But it's, oh fuck, man, it's so cool. Oh yeah, definitely hope I revisit it at the end of this video, okay? Please, fuck, I hope I remember. Note to myself, if you guys didn't know, I don't script my videos. So I'm kind of just hoping as I go through these pages of the comic that I remember to recircle to that moment, because it's a big giveaway. Just pay attention to the panel while I'm talking, okay? And you will see the big reveal when you see it. All right. Now we then see it pans over to the Avengers, right? And they're fighting this influx of random fucking vampires, as none of them knows who's cooking them. They're like, yo, we don't know why vampires just showed up on a Thursday, but they're kind of beating our ass. So, you know, if you're putting hands on Marvel humans, you're a threat. We need to start putting in work. Even Thor doesn't know. Thor's like, yo, what the hell's going on? Like, why am I fighting vampires right now? And no one knows. And in an interesting moment, they're discussing, you know, potential causes of this invasion. And someone brings up Dracula, which is valid fucking play, right? You see some vampire shit going on, maybe Dracula's involved. All right, that's no racism towards Dracula. My boy he's pretty active. You feel me? So he was the initial suspect, but Cap, who of course is Sam right now, was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, this isn't a Dracula-like move. He recently made a play. He's got Vampire Nation. Like, this doesn't make sense for him to do. I don't think it's Dracula, which was cool to see that dialogue and see there's some respect for how Dracula moves in Marvel. You know, he moves a certain way. That's when we see Blade calls into all of them, right? And he's like, look, y'all probably don't know what's going down right now because this is some vampire shit. But that's cool. That's what I'm an expert in. Matter of fact, I have some information. Let's all meet up in Impossible City, and I will let you guys know what the moves are. Like, I'll let you know what's going on. Let's link up. I'll fill everybody in. We got a game plan, and we will execute it. That's when we see the Avengers are hella confident now, right? They're like, all right, we're going to get the info drop. We know where to meet up. Let's pull off. As Thor's talking, big A. By the way, shameless plug. I got a Thor Goon video that was sponsored, so that'll be dropping soon. Say what you want about Thor, but when it's time to get active, no one's more fit than Thor, all right? And he's like, dude, I got endless body bags to pass out. That's when we see one of the coldest entrances for bad guys in recent memory. There's this team of ugly motherfuckers, okay? Some of them might be dripped out of their mind, and that's fine. Regardless, they're ugly as shit. But it goes into their horror-style design, as it's this team of cosmic-looking vampires. And they showed up and are like, yo, is this the Avengers they told us were raw? because we're built to fuck y'all up. Like, let's get it in right now. This team has literally pulled up on the Avengers to rock their shit. It's going down. Stand up if you haven't already. It's going down. This is the Bloodcoven. As one of them manages off rip in the scrap-a-doodle-doo, cuts Thor. Fucking cuts Thor. Keep in mind, this is current Thor who's fighting Elder Gods. Thor's like, what the this bitch just cut me. Like, how is this random vampire? I don't really give a fuck what kind of vampire it is. Why is it cutting me? Like, it should not be affecting me. As the vampires are talking crazy, they're like, yo, we prepped for y'all. We know specifically how to beat y'all. We got powers to beat y'all. You fucked up. We see Iron Man starts getting absolutely dog walked as the vampire. They're like, yo, how are these vampires so raw? And he's like, dude, we can do anything. You don't even know what our people are. And Iron Man starts getting folded. Like, okay, this is why I say this is one of the rawest intros, because like in context of comics, right, we have to give Tony Stark some respect. Usually you don't just pull up on Tony Stark and fuck his life up, especially if you're not something like a vampire. We would think his technology would be fine, but like I said, these vampires have powers. They seem to be tapped into the Darkforce in some way. They're fucking crazy. And it's revealed each member of the Bloodcoven can consume certain aspects, whether it's magic, physical stuff, spirits. They basically have a hard counter via their hacks for everyone they're boxing with. Okay, this shit is about to turn into Tragic City for Avengers. And they're scrapping Sam Fisher, who... Did I say Sam Fisher? I meant fuck it. Shout out Splinter Cell, dog. Sam Wilson, who usually doesn't have to worry about being soloed out, right? Like, let's call a spade, right? No one calls for the 1v1 versus Sam Wilson, because who gives a fuck, right? Sorry to the 12 Sam Wilson fans. But they're like, yo, we need to take this one in and convert him, because seeing the symbol become the monster will break this world. The people will weep. They won't know what to do. It will crush them, which was so dope to see, because it's obviously just a show of literal multiversal respect for Captain America's symbol. The Avengers falling might not break the people. Almost everyone dying might not break the people. Waves of ultra vampires won't break the people. But seeing Captain America hurting his people would break them. That just shows how important Captain America is in the landscape. We see the Coven openly admitting, yeah, we prep for every single one of you. As they do actually praise the power of some of the Avengers. Like right before Scarlet Witch gets cooked, because it's Scarlet Witch. One thing about Scarlet, she's gonna fumble the bag. As she's like right before she gets cooked, they're like, oh man, I've never actually like felt magic like this, chaos magic you have. Like, that's like some Elder God shit you tapped into. That's real tough. Unfortunately, I gotta cook you. And she gets cooked. And you're like, damn, man, they're coming. Like, I might not be the biggest Scarlet Witch believer, but like, if you read Darkhold, she was OP as fuck in that. Okay, so she should be able to hold her own, but she gets cooked. That's when we see Thor be like, yo, you can't convert me, you can't take me in, none of this shit. Like, I'm Thor, okay? That's not how this story ends. They said don't care ratio and headshot Thor. Thor is down. I mean, literally gets headshot. And they just go, we want to keep you. And you're like, yo, big Thor, current immortal Thor, just got one shot by the Bloodcoven? Fuck that, dude. Fuck that. We are facing something insane. And at this point, we get one of the realest moments from Black Panther, okay? If you are a T'Challa fan, if you are a Panther fan, you're gonna fucking love this moment, okay? As you guys know, the entire lineup of the Avengers has been getting their shit rocked. So we know Panther shouldn't be able to fight any of these. But he sees the long play here. He looks at Sam Wilson, he says, Cap, get the fuck out of here. Like, they're trying be slick right now. They're trying to break the will of the people, and that will not happen as long as I breathe. Black Panther suits up and races towards the Bloodcoven, knowing he has no chance against them. Why do you do that? Because Panther is a simple man, right? For him to survive, sure, it's important for his country. But what's more important is his country surviving. And he knows, even if he is to fall, that would be better for the world, which obviously includes Wakanda. For the Panther is not the symbol for the whole world. He's just not. But Captain America is. And if Captain America should fall and the symbol be turned into blasphemy, it would break everyone. And he can't let that happen. As he gives them a chance to get away, as the Bloodcoven takes him, and they're pissed. They're like, dude, this stupid fucking Panther guy just ruined the bag. And, you know, shout out to T'Challa clutching up. And that's when we pan over to Doctor Strange in the crib, right? And look, one thing y'all need to understand. When Strange is not fucking around, that shit is scary, okay? Like, he will... I remember one time I was reading Strange Tales, and he got mad at a dude for kidnapping him and blew up the dimension. Everybody Dougie, bro. Everyone got cooked just because Strange wasn't fucking with their leader, right? But anyways, back on topic. Regardless, he's going to get the job done if he feels he needs to. Now, he is not out right now helping people because he is with Cleo. And currently they're coming up with something called the Montesi formula. And if I mispronounce that, fuck it. You know how we move on this channel. But he's like, yo, if we assemble this problem gets one shot. Like, I don't have to deal with shit. Like, I cook all of them. One tap. That's all we need. One shot, one kill. What's the deal? Now, the Darkhold is needed to end all of them, but it no longer exists. Why? Because Scarlet Witch obviously absorbed it. We see Blade had pulled up and is questioning what's going on. He's like, yo, how are you going to cook with the lack of supplies? Like, how is this going to work? And Strange's like, dude, don't worry about that. Like, trust me. I know how to do magic. And Blade's like, this is the vampire's big play. They're people in charge of this, right? They are called the Structure. They planned this all out when they got a new leader after Moon Knight killed the other one. Like I said, Moon Knight's a fucking real one. Well, the Structure got a new leader, and they're making real plays now. They used ancient Atlantean magic to convert Darkhold users and Darkforce. First of all, shout out to Namor and his hood. Holy shit. Like, that's OP magic to be able to casually bring the Darkforce forward. Like I said, keep in mind, outright stated to be comparable to like Galactus and the Power Cosmic, okay? It's a big deal. They are ultra vampire kill teams in the form of Bloodcoven that can box up the Avengers. And Blade's like, look, I'm just being real with you. They can cook the Avengers. Like, this is non-negotiable. I know for a fact they can get it done. So we can't take this lightly. And that's when we see Blade ask Strange. He's like, Strange, are you doing what I think you're doing? And Strange is like, yeah. No doubt about it. And Blade's like, yo, you would kill every vampire, even the ones you know? And Strange was like, yeah, thanks for asking. I'm a doctor. You see, if you got to cut off the arm to save the rest of the body, you cut that bitch off. Blade was like, damn, Strange is actually with the shits. I wasn't quite sure he'd be with the shits, but he definitely is. And that's when he openly says, he's like, man, I'm gonna be real with you, Doctor Strange. Like, in assessing this problem, in assessing how people could potentially react to this and do something crazy, we knew Scarlet Witch didn't have it in her. She just doesn't have that dog in her. By the way, facts. But we didn't know. But Blade was like, you know, honestly, I am not surprised. Like, I respect what you've done. I know how you move. I've seen how you move in the past. I'm not shocked that you're capable of such thing. That's when we see Blade betrays Doctor Strange, stabs him literally through the back, as he says, "You idiot, I was able to run up in here and spoil your plan because I am the new leader of the structure." That's right. Blade's turned heel. He's the leader of the structure. In that panel I brought up, thank God I remembered it. It showed Miles' danger sense went off. Blade shouldn't be a danger to him, right? Unless he's doing wicked shit, which we just saw. He's on some wicked shit. Man, I didn't notice it the first time until I was literally looking at the panel while discussing it with you guys. So shout out to y'all for making me make this video and me realizing more about what I read. That's always dope. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Dr. Goon. It's always a pleasure having Goon Nation watch a video of mine. If you're new to the Goon Nation, I hope you join us, become a Goonie. Join my Discord, follow me on Twitter, all that. Love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all later for the next part of this. Peace.